CES 2026 is the first CES where pretending stops working. For more than a decade, this show trained us to tolerate demos that never scaled, robots that looked impressive but couldn't survive real environments, smart homes that required constant babysitting, and AI systems that collapsed the moment the cloud lagged. That era is ending. This year, the most important technologies at CES don't live on screens or in concept videos. They move through physical space, manipulate real objects, sense the world in real time, and make decisions locally without waiting for permission from the cloud. Once that line is crossed, the industry doesn't get to reverse course. CES 2026 isn't about better gadgets or incremental upgrades. It's about who controls physical intelligence, who owns the infrastructure layer beneath it, and who gets left behind when software alone is no longer enough. What makes CES 2026 feel different isn't one product, one keynote, or one viral robot clip. It's alignment. Robotics, on-device AI, sensing, perception, simulation, and compute are all arriving together at a level of maturity that actually works outside controlled demos. In previous years, these layers evolved in isolation, which is why progress felt slower than promised. This year, they reinforce each other. Better sensors make autonomy viable. Local AI removes latency. Simulation compresses training cycles. Specialized chips make everything efficient enough to deploy at scale. That convergence is why CES 2026 feels dense instead of padded. Almost everything being teased isn't hypothetical. It already works in limited environments, and the only question left is how fast it can scale. And no company represents that shift more clearly than Hyundai. Hyundai Motor Group isn't using CES to launch a robot. It's using CES to announce a framework. When Hyundai talks about software-defined factories, what they're really saying is that robots are no longer machines you buy and bolt into place. They're managed infrastructure. Developed like software, trained continuously, updated remotely, and deployed across environments without being redesigned every time. That is a fundamental shift in how physical labor is treated. Once robots are managed the same way cloud services are managed, scaling stops being tied to human availability. Labor becomes elastic. Capacity becomes programmable. Hyundai doesn't need to explicitly say this is about replacing people. The structure of their strategy already says it. CES 2026 is where Hyundai stops hinting and starts formalizing robotics as a core operating layer of modern industry. Boston Dynamics debuting the next-generation Atlas humanoid on a public CES show floor is one of the most consequential moments of the entire event, not because Atlas is humanoid, but because Hyundai is willing to show it live, unscripted, and in front of competitors. Robotics has an unspoken rule. If it only works in a controlled demo, it doesn't work. By putting Atlas into a public environment, Hyundai is signaling operational confidence rather than perfection. And what's even more important is that Atlas isn't being positioned as a standalone marvel. Alongside it are Spot and Mob-D, covering inspection, mobility, payload transport, and uneven terrain. This isn't a lineup, it's task coverage. That's how robotics stops being a research project and starts becoming infrastructure. CES 2026 isn't where Atlas proves it's impressive. It's where Hyundai proves it's deployable. One of the biggest mistakes people make when evaluating robots is focusing on form instead of function. Humanoids get attention, but infrastructure scales through task coverage. Warehouses don't care what a robot looks like. They care whether objects move reliably from one place to another. Factories don't care about aesthetics. They care about uptime, precision, and integration with existing workflows. Hyundai's approach at CES 2026 quietly reflects this reality. By showcasing multiple platforms working together rather than one hero robot, they're signaling that the future of robotics isn't about replacing humans one for one. It's about absorbing specific tasks into autonomous systems until human labor becomes the exception rather than the rule. LG Electronics' home robot reveal isn't impressive because it has arms. It's impressive because LG is deliberately targeting the hardest environment possible. Factories are structured, predictable, and standardized. Homes are chaotic. Every layout is different. Every object is inconsistent. Every interaction has safety implications. A home robot doesn't get to fail loudly or dramatically. It has to fail safely, quietly, and rarely. That's why LG's move matters. If its home robot works even part-time, it reshapes elder care, accessibility, assisted living, and daily task automation. And if it doesn't work, that failure still teaches the entire industry where the real bottlenecks are. Either outcome generates signal. CES 2026 isn't where home robots become mainstream. It's where the industry finally confronts what makes them so difficult. What's holding home robots back isn't arms, sensors, or compute. It's context. Homes aren't just unstructured, they're socially complex. Objects aren't always where they're supposed to be. People behave unpredictably. Expectations change constantly. LG's decision to bring this problem to CES 2026 signals that the industry is ready to stop avoiding it. The hardware is finally good enough that the remaining challenges are software, perception, and decision-making. That's a meaningful milestone, because once the bottleneck shifts to software, progress accelerates. Samsung's AI living ecosystem isn't about convenience features, it's about closing control loops. Smart homes didn't fail because devices were dumb. They failed because intelligence was fragmented. Every device made isolated decisions, often relying on cloud latency and brittle integrations. Samsung's approach at CES 2026 flips that model. When appliances can see inventory, understand usage patterns, coordinate locally, and make decisions without cloud dependence, they stop being reactive devices and become decision-making systems. Integrating Gemini into appliances isn't a feature flex, it's an architectural correction. Samsung is quietly fixing a decade-old mistake by centralizing intelligence instead of scattering it across disconnected products. Local AI doesn't just improve speed, it changes reliability, privacy, and system behavior. When intelligence runs on-device, systems degrade gracefully instead of catastrophically. A temporary outage becomes a minor inconvenience rather than a total failure. This matters more in physical systems than digital ones. A robot that hesitates can cause damage. An appliance that misfires can create safety risks. CES 2026 marks the point where local intelligence stops being a nice-to-have and becomes mandatory for physical AI systems. NVIDIA doesn't need to announce a single product at CES 2026 to dominate the conversation. Every robot, every simulation, every autonomous system still collapses into compute. Training, inference, deployment, and control all flow through the same stack. If physical AI scales, NVIDIA becomes unavoidable. That's why its presence at CES isn't about GPUs. It's about ownership of the layer nobody can bypass. Robotics companies can innovate. Appliance companies can differentiate. But the foundation underneath still has a choke point. NVIDIA knows exactly where it sits, and CES 2026 is where that reality becomes impossible to ignore. One reason physical AI is accelerating now is simulation. Training robots in the real world is slow, expensive, and risky. Training them in simulated environments compresses years into weeks. NVIDIA's simulation platforms aren't flashy, but they're decisive. Whoever controls simulation controls iteration speed, and iteration speed determines winners. CES 2026 is where simulation quietly emerges as one of the most powerful levers in robotics and autonomy. Intel and AMD aren't chasing spectacle at CES 2026, they're solving the constraint that kills physical systems: delay. Physical AI doesn't tolerate lag. A robot can't wait for a server response. A sensor can't stall. A late decision is a failure. By pushing AI workloads onto devices, systems become faster, more reliable, and less fragile. This is how physical AI escapes cloud dependency. And once it does, pure software companies lose leverage to hardware AI hybrids. What makes CES 2026 different from previous hype cycles is irreversibility. Too much capital has been committed. Too much infrastructure has been deployed. Too many systems are already operational. This isn't a trend, it's a transition. From factories to homes to edge devices, physical AI is crossing from optional to foundational. Even if progress slows, it won't reverse. The incentives are too strong, and the economics are too compelling. CES 2026 isn't the year robots go mainstream, it's the year retreat becomes impossible. The question isn't whether physical AI changes the world. That decision has already been made. The real question now is who adapts fast enough to stay relevant, and who discovers too late that software alone is no longer enough. So here's the real question. Out of everything coming to CES 2026, what's the true inflection point? Not the flashiest demo, not the loudest headline. The moment where you look at it and realize there's no going back. Drop it in the comments. If you want deep, consequence-first analysis like this, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.